Hello everyone, my name is Joanna. Thank you so much for coming back. For those of you who are my subscribers, thank you so much for coming back. For those of you who are new, welcome. I hope whatever you find here you will like, and I hope you stay. Let me just be very brief. Interesting messages in the month of March. For one, they flowed very differently. There seems to be a lot of transformation going on, and I do, particularly in the month of March, and it seems to be consistent with almost every single sign. Very, very consistent. So if you are drawn to a certain sign that you don't necessarily look at, by all means listen and see if there's a message there for you. The messages are not time bound, which means there is no end and beginning. These messages may make sense to you because they have happened. You are in the middle of it happening, or it will happen at some point down the road. So do yourself a favor. If it doesn't make sense to you right away, listen to it in a few weeks' time or even a few months. And from those of you who are regular subbies and subscribers and you do comment, it looks like 98% of you find that this makes sense with as time passes. Also, my focus and intention is always, always, always to give you something to think about that will help you understand yourself more deeply. In other words, my focus isn't on predicting. If an information comes through that is of futuristic nature, I am more than happy always to give. However, my focus is more about helping you understand how you create, how you make things happen. Because the moment you know how to make things happen, you will stop waiting for someone to tell you what's going to happen, because you'll be able to create it. And that is always my aim. That is what I want to teach. That is what I do teach. And that is how Spirit is working with me. What can I give you to help you see yourself as the master of your own creation that you are, so that you can understand? And once you understand, you can create in a different way. So that is always my intention, and I hope that whatever comes through falls with that. Let's put it that way. I think that's all I have for you. Listen to the other signs if these don't make sense. Of course, this is general. It may not fit with everybody, although I'm very surprised how many of you are responding and saying this is exactly what you're going through. So also, very quickly, again, the layout is very different. I don't even have a layout this month, and it was mostly intuitive. So you will see some of the messages. I look at cards, and some of them I don't even look at cards because it's flowing. So the way information is flowing for me is also very different. So I am under also a transformation, if you will. And I think that's all I have. Of course, there's a 6-month projection for you down below from January till the end of June. If you're more interested in that information is there. And more than anything, thank you so much for liking, for sharing, for coming back. For those of you who are new, welcome. I hope you stay. Have yourself a wonderful month of March. And yeah, let's get going. Hello, beautiful Taurians. These are going to be your messages for the month of March 2019. Let me start off first with some of the things that I received for you when I was meditating on your energy, our energy. I'm also Taurus. For those of you who have asked, my sun sign is Taurus. So it's always very interesting for me to do this message because because it affects me in various ways as well. One of the things that came up when I was meditating on you was the symbol of a mushroom. Now, to me, when I saw it right away, it felt very much that the symbol meant protection during a time of change. And I would invite you to look up what the spiritual meaning of a mushroom is, or what is the symbology of a mushroom. I have looked a little bit, and it does denote, there's a mysticism tied to it. Obviously, it is used in shamanistic rituals and other types of rituals as a source of inspiration, as a source of spiritual guidance. But that aside, the biggest thing that I'm getting from this, so the other things about the mushroom may be true for you, but the general message is that we are being protected, and we are being protected during this change. The month of May is coming up, and I do believe, well, we do have birthdays in May. Some of us do. Some of you do. Mine is in April. I do believe there's something in the month of May that may astrologically be of significance. Perhaps it's the whole Uranus sign, which I believe is coming in the sign of Taurus somewhere between March and May. So perhaps it is May, because I'm kind of being pointed to the month of May. So there's no question that we are all going through changes, and we are all going through, well, challenges. But apparently Taurus or Taurians will be affected by this change quite dramatically or quite drastically, being the nurture or the earth sign, the solid foundation type sign. These changes are more likely to come up in your own personal views of life, your understandings of who you are, your structure in terms of your beliefs. So basically the essence of what makes you you. You are a construct of ideas, a concept that you call yourself whatever name. But those constructs, those ideas are things we have learned in our past, usually in our childhood. And childhood is from 0 to about 7 or 8, a time where our deepest beliefs, our structures, foundations, if you will, are being solidified. So, long story short, as we go through these changes that are expected over the next several years, certain things will be coming up to the surface for us to observe. And it feels like the month of March is almost like a beginning of a brand new journey. I'm being shown a book that is opened, and it's almost like why is this book opened right somewhere? Like, I'm seeing a book that is open in front of me, which to me, book symbolizes knowledge, and it's right smack in the middle. And I'm trying to ask, why is this book open in the middle? It's almost like it symbolizes a journey. We are, whatever the journey means to you, it's very symbolic. For those of you who connect with this is very symbolic. The middle of the book to me suggests that you're not at the end of whatever it is that you are trying to create. And for many of you, it might be a book. You actually might be, thank you, in the process of writing a book. And perhaps you are somewhere in the middle and you're stuck. Give yourself some time if this is you, because your flow will eventually start over again. For some of you, this book may represent some sort of an idea that you are in the middle of, some sort of a project, some sort of something you are trying to create, and you are right smack in the middle of it. Why is the significance of it being in the middle? Why is it being in the middle? The middle is representing something that needs to be focused on right now. Intentions. Okay, thank you. So, as we go through these times of change, it is very important for us to remember what our truth is and what our intentions are. Because as we go through changes, especially significant changes that can seem challenging and sometimes difficult, change isn't always easy. Even a good change can have some difficulties with it. And well, point being, we are moving into a much better territory in terms of our own foundations. But in order for us to have those new foundations, the old crap, so to speak, pardon my French, has to first be uprooted and dealt with effectively. Which means that's why the mushroom is showing up, as if to say, hey, you are going through changes. There's no question about that. You will have moments where you will doubt, where you will question yourself, where your mind is going to be very busy in trying to convince you of things. perhaps things that make you feel like you're completely confused and you don't know where you're going. It is important to remember what your intention is. As long as you have your intention clear in mind, you will always have that to hang on to. So for those of you who have no intentions as to what it is that you're wanting to create, or what it is that you're after, or what it is that you're changing or wanting to change, then that can feel a little bit problematic. So first and foremost, for those of you who have no clear intention, and your intention may be as simple as wanting to be content. Obviously it's a feeling within you, so you have to be the one who manufactures that feeling, but there are certain steps that need to be taken in order for you to feel this way. So whatever your intention is, it's very important that you know what that is. Also, knowing deeply what your truth is critical to this, to assessing what your intention is. Why is it critical? Well, because if we do not know ourselves deeply, then it's very hard to assess what it is that we want, right? So I feel like I'm getting a little bit off topic here, which I could go on forever, but I'm going to kind of get back to the idea of protection. I also saw that many of you Taurians are going through a process of release. And if you are not releasing anything at the moment, you are being encouraged to look at what it is that you might want to release from yourself. These could be physical burdens that you are attached to. These could be mental and emotional burdens that you are keeping or holding on to. These are things from your past, certainly, feelings, emotions, unfinished business, unforgiveness towards yourself mostly, and others. And anything that is keeping you kind of sort of tied to your past, which eventually will, it will minimize your efforts pertaining to what your intention is. Why is all this being said? Because I feel the month of March is going to feel a little bit uneasy. And the image that I'm getting is equivalent to going to being on a boat and it's choppy waters. You kind of have to hang on. So it may feel, emotionally speaking, water to me represents emotions. In the month of March, you might feel a little bit turbulent. Not saying anything is going to happen. As a matter of fact, everything that's happening is fantastic, but you do not see the result of whatever the fantastic thing is. Not yet anyway. You are on the road there or on the path there. But meanwhile, as you are on a path there, you will be releasing something. Some things will be coming up to the surface. You will be triggered. Certain things may not go your way, and you will be needing to look in the mirror at yourself, and you will be needing to ask yourself some questions. So really interesting energy. And I wonder if it has anything to do with Uranus coming up. Maybe it's some other astrological alignments that I know about. I'm not an astrologer. So let me go through some of the messages that I have for you. When I asked what is the theme for the month of March in order for you to keep an eye on, the message of clearing house appearing in this position. When I saw this message right off the bat, I felt that if there's anything that you have been holding on to for dear life, particularly your belief systems, and it doesn't serve you any longer, I feel you will not be able to hold on to it for too much longer. In other words, it'll appear to you in such a way that you will say to yourself, I have no choice but to let it go. Now, I can't even think of an example what that would be, but I'm just being asked to let that float there. And if it means nothing to you now, listen to it a few weeks later, because I feel it'll make sense to you later. I'm just flowing. I'm trusting Spirit knows what it's doing, and it is much more aware than I am in my head. So this message is very intuitive. I'm just feeling the flow. I want to say hold on to your seats, not because there's anything bad. It's actually quite on the contrary. It's actually really good. But imagine yourself being on a roller coaster and you're the one who decided to go on it. You thought it was going to be a thrill, and you thought, sure, roller coaster, why not? It looks good. And then you sat in the roller coaster and it began to move, and then you get the jitters, but hey, you can't get out anymore. You're stuck. It is already moving. So you have to endure the ups and downs of this roller coaster. But remember, you picked it because you thought it was going to be fun. So obviously this is a huge analogy for whatever you may be going through. Any change worth keeping takes a while to get adjusted to. So the reason why I'm seeing turbulent waters, it's not because something bad is going to happen. It is because certain things, emotionally speaking, may come up to the surface, and whatever those things are may rear its ugly head in your face and say, hey, look at me. Here I am. What are you going to do about me? Those are usually things that I would call fears. Those are the things that typically make us feel turbulent, emotionally speaking. So this is what the message says to me first and foremost. If there's anything you've been holding on to in terms of safety, security, or what you perceive to be safety and security, but it's actually preventing you to be the leader that you are meant to be. That's the reason. There's a reason for that word. I'll discuss it in a minute. I feel like the month of March is going to stretch you. The universe is going to say, hey, you sure you want to keep it? Because really it's time for it to go. There's something so much better. Think of it this way. It's like a baby blanket. Eventually, like a child holds onto its baby blanket because it represents safety and security. But eventually the child gets to the point where the blanket's got to go. The blanket is too old. It's used. It's dirty. It's got threads all over the place. It just kind of doesn't really do anything for you. So use that analogy. If there's anything you're holding on to for dear life, it's like the old baby blanket. It's got to go. But it will be replaced by something much bigger than you can possibly imagine. And it has to do with safety and security. So that's one message. The message of this card, as per book, which I don't always go with that, is really don't hold on to anything from the past. You have a tendency to hold on to things from the past. Or why do you hold things that remind you of the past? Because if that's the case, then think of it as being connected to your past by a rubber band. And the rubber band only stretches so long, right? At a certain point, it gets to the point where there's so much resistance, you can't go any further. It kind of keeps you there. And in order for you to go further, it has to snap. Sometimes the snapping means a change of circumstance, and momentarily it may feel slightly uneasy because you've been used to having this tether. You've been used to having this tether holding you to your past, and that's an analogy. And then it's gone, and you're like, now what? So in order for some things to open, some things have to close. And I know this is a huge metaphor, and this will apply to you differently. Every person will have a different interpretation of this. But this is what I'm being asked to flow with. Something remarkable is happening. That much I will tell you. And it's as if imagine I'm on again, another vision. It's like I release a dice, and this dice is supposed to be lucky. But instead of a dice, it's the world, it's the universe. So whatever it is that you are releasing as luck has a monumental significance for you personally. This could be a vision, this could be a project, this could be your idea of a future, this could be anything you want and whatever you're dealing with right now. It could be a brand new you. But in order for you to kind of, not in order, the act of me seeing releasing it means you have to allow it to go and find its way. So this is about almost like following your nose, following your intuition. Let me go through more of the cards. So change, significant change is on the way. This is a change around value. So your value system is in a process of changing. In other words, whatever value you have assigned to yourself, whatever insecurities you have had, those are part of your value system. In order for your value to go up, your insecurities have to go down. So, but we are used to our insecurities. Our insecurities make us who we are. It's our identity. And it is pretty darn difficult to let go of an identity, because identity is your safety. It's your home. It's what you consider your norm. And we are changing dramatically. Many of you are stepping up. Some of you are stepping out. You're stepping out of your shadows. You're stepping into the limelight, whatever that is for you. You might be stepping out of a closet, whatever that means to you. Stepping out of your shadows means you are no longer living in your past. You are now becoming the real you, the truer version of yourself. You're not becoming somebody else. By shedding the old, you are becoming the truer version of who you really are, which may produce Three of Coins in reverse. So to me, this represents, well, the general meaning of the card is lack of cooperation. But to me, when I saw this, and it is financial or earth energy, so it could be a relationship, it could be relationship you have to a job, could be something else, could be health, but something is changing. Something is changing. It is whatever has kept you going for a while. I feel like it's changing. It's not necessarily that it's ending, but it's changing form. And think about it. If you've been used to, let's say you've been used to doing your job in a certain way for a long time, and now you're beginning to change. As you change, your likes and dislikes will also change. And chances are anything that you have had up until this point, which is of the old vibration, will naturally tend to fall away. But in its place, something new will come in. It's just the law of attraction. It's just the way it is. Whenever a door closes, one door closes, another door opens. So ironically, we are really afraid to let go of things that hold us back because they make us feel at home. We are used to it, but we want something different. So in order to want something different, we need to first let go of whatever is holding us back. You guys get the idea. So something might be nearing its end in the next few months, but it's not because it is ending. I feel like it's changing form. So you may be crossing paths with somebody unexpectedly, and you get talking and they offer you a job, and boy, that's a surprise. And it's a job or an opportunity about something you thought about, but you didn't really think that it was kind of possible, and boom, you meet somebody, you cross paths, and it's right there in front of you. This could be a relationship. You may have had a relationship with someone. This is what I'm getting from this message, from this card. And there is no longer lack of cooperation. As a result, you choose to leave. And as a result of you leaving, another door opens fairly quickly. But the act of leaving your current situation is never really pleasant. It's whatever has been for quite some time ends up being our norm. Changing the norm, well, it can feel a little bit unearthing. So that's what I'm going to go with. Now, why is this happening? Clarity, brand new awareness. I feel like majority of you who I'm speaking with, and this will include myself, I feel like the wool is being pulled from your eyes. Now, what does that mean? To me, when I say that statement, when I see it, it's as if I have been walking around, you, with blinders on. But when you walk around with blinders on and you've always had the blinders on, you don't even know that you have the blinders on. It's just your norm. But then something shifts and something happens, and all of a sudden those blinders are taken off and you realize, oh my God, I can see clearly. And that can feel terrifying at first. Is terrifying the right word? Yeah, for some it can be terrifying. particularly when you have been told you are something, and then you realize you're no longer that person. So for majority of you, I'm talking about a shift of consciousness. This is not just, something is going to happen next week. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking massive shift of consciousness, which is, and I'm getting chills, all over the place. When that happens, we are bound to run into difficulties. And the difficulties are presented when our fears come up, because again, our identity has been constructed by us adopting certain ideas of who we are. Those ideas are part of our experiences. Our experiences eventually tell us that's what our truth is. So imagine waking up one morning and you realizing that everything that you have believed about yourself is no longer true, because you had this moment of awareness that made you realize all these other things. So I am partially talking about me, but I'm also talking to you, whoever you are. I'm supposed to say this. I'm supposed to say this. It is also a time where you might feel like you want to exert extra control, but this is actually a time where you have to let go of control. And Taurians are an earth sign. We like our safety and stability. We like to control things. But it's not just Taurians, it's anyone who is kind of used to things a certain way, and then things are changing. And then the universe say, hey, we'll take control of this from now on. Why don't you just relax and watch this unfold? Not such an easy thing, because it means that we have to trust. And trust is a funny thing. We say we trust, but when it comes right down to it, oftentimes we realize, trusting is harder than we thought. However, there is some clarity that's unfolding. There's a brand new awareness. There's a brand new thought pattern. There's an aha moment. I'm being drawn, I got chills all over me. I'm being drawn to the sword, the shining sword. This is crystal clarity, sharp mind, unobstructed by excessive thoughts based in scarcity. This is the woman on this picture is very proud. She's holding her head high and she's looking almost to the heavens. She trusts. She has no qualms about who she is. She values herself. She doesn't waver in terms of who she is. She knows who she is. The wings represent freedom. So there's a certain level of freedom that comes with a very clear mind. It's, again, the analogy is, if you've been wearing a mask for most of your life, a metaphor, and then a mask comes off, at the beginning, it first may feel very frightening, but when you start getting used to it, it crystallizes everything in front of you. I'm also being drawn to the symbology of the triangle. I hear the word perfect alignment. So for many of you, whoever this message is for, you are on a perfect alignment for this change to take place. Perfect alignment doesn't mean that, it's going to be easy. It just means the stars have aligned in a certain way, let's call it that way, and you are ripe and ready, but you still have to go through the physical manifestation of that change. But this is really important for you to see. There's just something about this message that breakthrough. That's what I keep hearing, breakthrough. So, and I just get chills. Do not be surprised if in the month of March or thereabouts, you have a major breakthrough. It is also the release that I keep seeing, because breakthroughs always allow us to release things. And that's why the mushroom now makes sense to me, because as we go through this process of change, Spirit is saying, you're safe, you're protected. Yes, it may not be very comfortable, but you are okay, you're protected. And when we go through changes, usually when we go through not difficulties, when we go through challenges, oftentimes there are breakthroughs, and something we've challenged ourselves with for a long time begins to be challenged no more. In other words, we let it go. Now, why might this be happening? Well, the serpent, which to me is always a symbol of power, is showing up in reverse. And for most of you, this is about you having kept yourself down and away from yourself and the world. So this speaks to you suppressing your own power, whatever that means to you, whether it's in relationships, whether it's at work, which is relationships, whether it's in communication, whatever it is, however you suppress your own power, however you've learned to suppress it because you've been told, whatever things you've been told when you were young. If you have been suppressing, this is going to be a time where I don't feel you'll be able to suppress it anymore. It's going to be bigger than you. So I'm tapping into something quite monumental here. I'm almost a little bit like, woo, what is it? A little bit nervous. But then I hear there's nothing to be nervous about. This is an awakening. This is what you call an awakening process. It is often somewhat uncomfortable. I'll speak to this message very briefly. This is called Masculine Principle. This is a message of a warrior. This is a message of a leader. And again, I'm getting chills. This is about stepping into your power. But always remembering that there is two aspects of you. There's the warrior aspect and there is the feminine aspect. The warrior aspect is the male aspect. And I feel a lot of it is to do with your path, with your purpose, with your work, with the way you project yourself into the world. This is about examining your truths, examining your ideals, and asking yourself, who am I? Who do I want to be? And in order for me to be that person, how must I think in order to be that person? And just by asking that questions, many of you will have your own revelation. So this is about stepping into, again, I want to say stepping into the limelight. Warrior personality, you may have been a warrior in a past life. I don't know if I talked about these things in general messages, but there's a definite feel of that from, you may have heard that before. You may feel like a warrior personality. And if that's the case, if you've been suppressing your power, well, you're coming out, baby. Whatever this is for you, you're coming out. 1 is the number of new beginnings, as we know. 2 is the number of choices. So as you step into your own power, there will be some choices that will signify a brand new beginning, or a brand new beginning will surface where you will have to make some choices. This also represents number 3, which is expansion. And all I want to say is, you're ready, baby. You're ready, baby. That's how I want to say it. I'll show you this card just briefly. It is about a relationship of any kind, new relationship with you, new relationship with you in the world, new relationship with another, new relationship with work, new relationship with something that emotionally fulfills you. There's a brand new beginning here, a union of sorts. This could be your true essence coming out in the world, and as a result, you connect yourself with opportunities that will feel like you've come home, like you've arrived. Yes, this could also mean a union with somebody else, absolutely, but this also represents a union with yourself, a much healthier union with yourself. The symbology here is very important, particularly the swan. To me, the swan always represents elegance. There's this elegance and timeless beauty. And here is where I want to say, have you ever seen a swan comparing herself to a swan and thinking, I don't look as good as the other swan? Obviously, that's a metaphor because we don't know if they compare or not. But generally, you don't see that. So just observe yourself. Are you practicing being the elegant beautiful swan, or are you acting like the ugly duckling? And there's no such thing as an ugly duckling. Have you ever seen duckling? They're impossible to be ugly. They're magnificent. They're beautiful. So there's a metaphor here. And if you've been hiding behind a mask, if you have been hiding your power, if you have been hiding your truth, if you have been hiding your own identity because it brought you something, related to whatever, safety usually and security, I feel that's changing. I feel, there's something incredible happening here. Look, I'm going to leave this with you because it's going on a little bit too long. And when that happens, they're harder to upload. But I do wish you best of luck. Do let me know how this connects with you. And if this makes no sense to you right away, listen to it in the next few weeks or even a couple of months, because this will take time. Generally, the more messages I get and the more messages I give, there's no timeline. As you know, energy cannot be boxed in a timeline. So with that said, I want to congratulate you as well, because you guys are going through something quite incredible, particularly for those of you who have felt inferior. You're no ugly duckling, baby. You're stepping out. So, this is exciting. All right. For private sessions, that information is down below. Thank you again so much. I wish you best of luck and see you soon.